Sierra Leone, the name of a land that is evocative in global history. For about 300 years, the land in Africa that later was named Sierra Leone was one in which millions of slaves were captured from. These slaves were taken across the Atlantic Ocean to the New World, to America, to work as slaves. Millions died. At the end of the slavery in the Americas, slaves from Africa, from lands like Sierra Leone, continued to stay in America. Today, they include film stars and politicians. During the closing years of the 18th century, some of the freed slaves were returned to Africa, to Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone again became the symbolism of global remorse, of humanity's quest for freedom. Hence, Freetown was founded. Those freed slaves who returned to Sierra Leone were called Creoles. The Creoles were the trailblazers in modernity in West Africa. Today, the over 100-year-old Creole houses are reminders of the end of the protracted Holocaust of the Atlantic slave trade and the ruins of Bonds Island, much more than edifices. The Creoles of Sierra Leone have probably the densest concentration of quality brains among any ethnic group in Africa. Scientists like Dr. Nana Pratt,
Dr. Nana Pratt, a Sierra Leonean Creole, growing up in Yoruba land among the Nigerians in Lagos,
and Dr. Monty Jones. For almost 100 years, Sierra Leone was the beacon of modernity in West Africa, the land that had the best schools, the country from which administrators were exported from to work in other West African countries. Then, there was a period of decline. This reached its worst with the brutal war between 1991 and 2001. Over the past 6 years, Sierra Leone has been rising and rising. The surge in development of Sierra Leone shows itself in the barefoot solar engineers, illiterate women who can assemble and do maintenance on solar panels, lighting up villages.
You know, woman, where them born, you know, ever master school do not, they don't go give you components away, they say nothing, no, they do no, they right. So God make any test within the test and Salone they come first.
All across the country, there is hope and enterprise in action, from basket weaving to fish selling.
This fish are the first school fee, do any kind.
Before a conference on transformation and development in 2011, researchers went all around Sierra Leone. The most burning need of the people was for education, education, education. The surge of private and public schools in the country brings out one thing about Sierra Leone. The majority of people are ready to make sacrifices.
Now that they take support me, pay school fee, for feed them, lunch, everything how they do.
The generation now in school are confident and determined.
I was set to leave a record at the school. So at that day, on that particular day when I joined the school in SS1, I started the adventure. I started maintaining the first position, and up till the time in SS3 when I was chosen as the head prefect, I maintained the first position.
With good teachers and well-trained teachers and the principal that is leading this school the right way, plan to excel, and we will excel in this school.
I want to be an economist.
There are several millions of school-going children who are youth, about 70% of the 6 million people in Sierra Leone. They have to be fed, housed, and educational space, materials and equipment provided for them. They are the present. They are the hope of the future. All what is being done has to be centered on and propelled by education. What sort of education? The normal type of academic education, or glorification of theoretical learning which has not helped the country now. The preference is clearly for information technology and vocational technical learning.
That is the only tertiary institution in this country that is making the difference in terms of the programs we require for this nation.
Sierra Leone is among the top 3 countries in the world that produces the best and most sought-after jewelry diamonds. Sierra Leone's iron ore reserves being exploited today by London mining and African minerals are one of the most vast in the world. There are also substantial reserves of gold, bauxite and other minerals, and today 6 petroleum companies have started drilling to explore for petroleum reserves in the territorial waters of Sierra Leone.
Opening up more appetite from the investment community outside of Sierra Leone, from Asia as well as from the West, to come to Sierra Leone, because it is the frontier state at the moment. There was recently an announcement that Luke Oil, which started drilling only about 2 months ago offshore Sierra Leone, have hit fire with hydrocarbons. Together with what Repsol and Anadarko did, the future looks bright.
A project we call Step Up Science Technology Enhancement Program and University Partnership. We are currently looking at enhancing both the geology departments and the engineering department and enhancing their curriculum to match other international standards in universities in the industry. But we are not just that, we are also looking at the vocational aspect in terms of enhancing and training young Sierra Leoneans to actually meet the challenges of the industry, because as I said at the beginning, it's a capital intensive industry and they want to get the best people. And so to get the best people, you have to invest in both those institutions and enhance their curriculum to meet some of the required challenges. And government is very, very supportive on that aspect, and companies like Chevron and all other companies are embracing the idea, and they are all prepared to support that.
Now, government has a local content policy, which means that Sierra Leonean businesses should be given preferences in areas where they have the competency to perform. So, how prepared are Sierra Leoneans?
Again, in the very near future, we are working on a local content strategy, wherein we'll initially, some of the things we'll do is eventually map out the hydrocarbon value chain, because you can only have an effective local content when you have an idea of the requirement side of both the requirement side of the system, but also the capability.
The mineral resources are vast. They attract a lot of foreign investors, but they are finite. Diamonds will one day end. Iron ore could be mined for only 40 years into the future. There are other natural resources which are almost infinite, resources which government is determined to exploit for its agenda for prosperity to have a meaning. These include the idyllic beaches of Sierra Leone.
Here is a beautiful sky and we have sea to play. I love number 2 river very much. I think in the future if it can develop well, there will be a big market of it.
So are you going to tell millions of Chinese to come here as tourists?
Why not? I always told my friends
to come here.
Yeah, and I invite them.
Our beach is uncomparable to none. Where else can you be able to get pure white sand at its best? I think that Sierra Leone offers something different. We're probably Africa's best kept secret.
My name is Jonathan McEwen. I presently live in England, but I'm now living in Sierra Leone. This is where I want to work. This is where I want to stay for the rest of my life. I love this country. It's very beautiful. I love it.
Freetown is being transformed. Those who paid a visit to Freetown 5 years ago would never believe it when they return in 2013. The government of President Ernest Bai Koroma has to stimulate opportunities for the people teeming Freetown. 60% of the people of the country are still engaged in agriculture, but agriculture is being transformed from traditional rural subsistence agriculture to commercial agriculture. The Felix Juice Factory is a unique experiment established by a US-based organization called First Step. It is a healthy blend of development and charity and commercialism. The farmers are trained by the First Step group, which has established an economic free zone.
So where una don dey grow this pineapple now wetin una harbour pan?
Well, we harbour beneficially for let God go put blessed inside the pineapple ground for let we able to sustain family and we begin the future tomorrow.
So una glad with them people that can help now?
Yes, sir, we're glad because they don't really can plan for help we under the first operation we don't start.
The farmers grow pineapples and collect mangoes. They sell the mangoes to the Felix Fruit Juice Factory. The peeling of the pineapples are used as manure for crops and will soon be transformed into electricity. This Sierra Leonean-owned factory uses palm nuts and manufactures into edible oil and soap.
What's in the meaning of America and how America Industries came about? How it started?
Yeah, this place was originally called SLPMB.
Okay.
It was owned by government, but later government privatized the place. And a very young man by the name of Zaid Ad-Kurema was interested over the issue, bringing up, taking up the factory.
Okay.
Marika, in abbreviated form, is a name of his mother, Zaid's mother, which is Marikago. It was abbreviated to Marika instead of Marikago. See?
Okay. So how long Marika Industries under existence?
Well, we started operations in 2005, very sorry. 2005. But the Chinese do the construction and likewise the installation. They brought about 7 Chinese who did the installation and trained some of the workers.
And use the waste products as fertilizer and to make electricity. This enterprising woman has been packaging plantain crepes, breadfruit crepes, and other local edibles like tula. These are the sort of added value to agriculture products that the government is urging the citizenry to practice.
Beyond food processing enterprise, the products they win are homemade products, and they all sign at the country, and every major supermarket and within market they distribute their product. So they encourage like women up there, Sierra Leoneans and Philippines to produce quality products because one of the people they won't talk to this way. So if only they will able to package them well, them believe say people will buy the products and believe even a similar thing and see how best we for promoting masala.
It is arousing great interests. Others from the diaspora are returning home. One of the greatest African scientists of all time has joined President Nkrumah to accelerate development. In early November, he was one of the prime movers of a conference on national dialogue, emphasizing agriculture and food production.
You were on Times magazine 100 most influential people list. The only Sierra Leonean ever to make that illustrious global list. You've won other international laurels. Tell us about it.
These are really very happy moments for me. You know, coming back to my country, I was chairperson of the Global Forum for Agricultural Research, sort of managing the global agricultural research and development aspects, you know, and also I was the executive director of the Forum for Agricultural Research in Africa, coordinating, facilitating agricultural research for development for the continent, you know, and my first major award, I would say, was the World Food Prize, which was given to me in 2004, in October 2004 actually, and it was given mainly for the development of the America rice. As you are aware that I was the person, the brain behind the creation of NERICAS. NERICA is the New Rice for Africa. And I believe that that was the first time after 50 years of try by various scientists for somebody, and that person happens to be myself, a Sierra Leonean, to come up with the methodology, the process that could obtain good, true to type, what I would say, varieties from crossing the African indigenous species and the Asian indigenous species. So we were able to combine the high yield potential of the Asian rice and the adaptation of the African varieties. The Oryza glaberrima, these are the African.
No other national leader in Sierra Leone and few African leaders have generated as much excitement and loyalty as President Nkrumah. He is revered and idolized. The excitement the president generates manifests the great hope the youth of the country have in his person. It has called for sober reflection and humility by the president and prayers. The leadership qualities of President Nkrumah in Africa has been recognized by President Barack Obama of the United States of America, when Sierra Leone's president was one of 4 presidents from Africa honored at the White House this year.
It's one of those things that we are very proud of. That is why our president is touted as being one of the top echelon, in the top echelon.